Hi there and welcome back to my channel. This is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video we're discussing A Killer Clue, written by Victoria Gilbert. It's a cozy mystery and it's book 2 in the Hunter Clewe series. This series stars protagonists Jane Hunter and Cameron Clewe. The mystery is strong in this book and still good. There are two mysteries in fact, a main murder mystery and a secondary mystery that I enjoyed a lot. Even though the main mystery in this book is still strong, it's not as good as the main mystery in the first book. But if you want to read this book, read book 1 first, because the secondary mystery ties in very closely in what happens in the first book. You learn more about that mystery in the first book, and it's not really rediscovered in this book. You don't get constant reminders about what you learn in the first book. So do read the first book in this series first. In this book we meet again Jane Hunter and Cameron Clewe, our two protagonists. So Cameron Clewe is wealthy and a businessman. His wealth is inherited, and for his business side I'm not really sure what he does. He seems to have an office. An office is in his large house on his large property that was inherited from his parents. And he seems to just have a lot of phone calls, some meetings. I'm not sure what he does for business. It's not explained very well in the series. Jane Hunter is a librarian by profession. She's in her 60s. She was about to retire, then decided not to. She decided to interview and accept a role working for Cameron, cataloguing a vast collection of books, documents, manuscripts, all that sort of thing. But in this book, she spends more time solving mysteries than doing cataloguing. And I wonder how long will it take her to actually catalogue the big collection. I'm not sure. But her cataloguing links to the secondary mystery in this book. And it's that secondary mystery I enjoyed the most. And it starts off in the first book. So in the first book, she comes across this painting. It's a painting of a mysterious lady, but it was painted by Cameron's mother. But he doesn't know who the lady was. Nobody seems to know. There's no information about her. But they want to find out because they're wondering if it links to Cameron's past somehow. Because I think in the first book we learned that Cameron was adopted. And Cameron's wondering, is this painting somehow linked to his past, linked to his family? So that's interesting and makes that secondary mystery even more engaging. So in this book, Jane's still trying to find out who the mysterious lady is. And she gets help. Gets help from Vincent, who's her landlord. And Vincent was also a journalist. He's retired now. He's helping Jane and he wants to write a book about the house, about Cameron's family and the house. And he wants to include the mysterious lady in his book. So he wants to find out more about her as well. And then Vincent's girlfriend also wants to help out and try to solve that mystery. So more about the big murder mystery in this book. It involves a cold case, and I do like cold case mysteries. It starts off with Eloise. Now, Eloise runs a bookstore, and Eloise's parents ran that bookstore before she did. She comes to Cameron for help. In the past, Eloise's father was murdered, and Eloise's mother was accused and sentenced for that murder, and Eloise is convinced that her mother is innocent, and she wants Cameron and Jane to help prove that. But it's not as easy as it seems. So Jane goes to talk to Eloise at the bookstore. When she gets there, it seems like nobody's there, but the doors are open, and when she goes in, she finds in a room, she finds a man lying on the ground with a knife in him, and he's dead. And Eloise is in the room, cowering in the room with blood over her. So Jane calls the police, and immediately the police suspect Eloise of murder. And of course she's an early suspect because she's the only one there and she has blood all over her. And for some reason they go past suspicion very quickly and they arrest her as well. So Cameron decides to bail her out and also let her stay in his big house and also fund her defense. So I wonder, is that a clever choice? You'll find out if you want to read this book. I won't tell you in this video. That's the big setup for this murder mystery. I'm not going to go into that murder mystery anymore in this video, but we have some characters turn up. Some of those characters are quite suspicious, of course. Some are red herrings, of course, and it makes for interesting reading in that mystery. But I want to jump ahead then and talk about the conclusion of that big murder mystery. And I'll talk about that before I talk about some cozy elements that were in the book. So the conclusion of that murder mystery was disappointing to me. It was strange, I think, because during this book, one character gets injured quite badly and can't really move around quickly because of the injury. And towards the end of the book, for the conclusion of the main mystery, there's not really a chase, but it's a rush to get somewhere because they think somebody's in danger. And you'd think in a book, if characters were rushing to try to save somebody, they would rush there. They wouldn't just stop and slow down for a character who's injured and can't move very fast. But in this book, other characters slow down for that character who's injured. And so they almost walk there at a very slow pace to try to save somebody in this book they think's in danger. That was strange to me, the way it's written. It doesn't seem real to me. It doesn't seem true to the setting and the situation. So I don't really like how that's handled in the book. But other than that, the main murder mystery, even though it's not as good as the first book in this series, is still okay and strong. But that ending was just strange to me. There are some cozy things going on in this book. There has to be. It's a cozy mystery after all. And one thing is, Jane's daughter comes to stay with her for a couple of weeks. We find out that her daughter is an actress on Broadway. And she's between jobs and just comes to stay, to hang out. And through that, we find out more about Jane's history, about some of the things she went through raising her daughter as a single mother. That was interesting. It just broadened out Jane a bit more in this book. And also on the cozy side, we have Cameron's personal assistant called Lauren. And what's going on with the cozy side with Lauren is she's in love with Cameron. It's obvious. We're shown that so often in this book. Jane realizes that, and Jane is trying to play matchmaker in a very subtle way. Not spell out, in any open way to Cameron what's going on, how Lauren feels about him, but just almost give little hints by looking at Cameron and trying to give suggestive looks to Cameron to say, pay attention to Lauren more, or trying to leave the room when they're together, that sort of thing. It's very subtle, but it is playing on the cozy side in this book, and you need those elements in a cozy mystery. So Eloise is introduced in this book with a bang, and what a way to introduce a character into a story. So first off, we have her asking Cameron and Jane to help out with a cold case. She wants to prove her mother innocent of murder from many years ago. But then we have her being accused of being a murderer in her own right in the present day. So big things for this character. But unfortunately, if you take that away from the character, it's very bland. Not much else about her in the story. Not developed in any other way really in this book, apart from her being a suspect in murder and trying to prove her mother innocent of murder. Disappointing, I think, in the story that she's not developed in any other way. Lauren is Cameron's personal assistant, and any time she's in a scene in this story, all her descriptions are focused on how she looks, the clothes she wears, her hair, her makeup, always. Doesn't really get into her personality or her character at all in this story. That was disappointing in this book, and I wonder, what type of character is Lauren really? Do we need a character only described by what she looks like all the time in a book? I don't think so. Let's get beneath the surface and let's learn more about the character, about what makes her tick. I want to know more about the character, not just get descriptions about what she looks like. Donna is Vincent's girlfriend in this book, and Vincent is Jane's landlord and friend. Donna stood out to me very early on in this book because one of the first things we learn about her is she goes to multiple book clubs in a week. And I think in this book, when we first meet Donna, she's going to 3 book clubs a week. And I think later on in the story, that expands to more book clubs per week. Who can't get behind a character that likes books so much that she goes to multiple book clubs every week? I mean, that's a perfect character in my view. I just wish we had book clubs around me that I knew about. I just go to them all the time. I don't know about any other than book clubs that happen at public libraries, but they happen during the day when I can't get to them. I wish we had more book clubs near me, because I think I'd be like Donna. I'd be going to a book club all the time. I'd go to them every day if I could. I did enjoy this book. The main mystery was strong, But that secondary mystery was just fantastic. That was so engaging to me. It felt like a treasure hunt, and I like that in stories. So for me, I rate this a 3.5 out of 5. Overall, the book is strong, not as strong as book 1. The characters are good. I just wish there was more development in the characters, more development for the main characters especially, but also other secondary characters that are big characters in this book need more development to them as well. Just feels like sometimes they're just one thing and nothing else. But overall, enjoyable, a good cozy mystery, and I can't wait to see more books in this series. On my channel I review many cozy mysteries. If you enjoy cozy mysteries, check out my channel and subscribe. On the screen now is a link on the video for a book I'm sure you'll enjoy.